This video is intended for the adult collector and teens with money. Consumer information. In the 80s, in my child brain, Trypticon was known as that walking toy, the one that wasn't Skylinks or Omega Supreme. He was also the rival to Metroplex, but in my baby opinion, his city mode, the G1 city mode, was way worse than the city mode that belonged to Metroplex. I fondly remember Trypticon being thrown into the sea and taking a weird curve as he got chucked by Metroplex. Also, there was that time when he gave Metroplex a cute hug from behind in the Headmaster's Japanese anime. Later stories in the IDW universe um, convinced me to identify Trypticon as female because Trypticon was protecting some baby sparks on Cybertron. Not like these babies. In my personal headcanon, I define her as a full tilt and brunt's boss. She sends them on errands where she can't go. I didn't vote for Trypticon when she came up for election. I voted for Scorponok, and eventually I did get him, but Trypticon was my least favorite of the three. If you're jonesing for broken, you gotta be careful with Trypticon's hips. Uh, I'll try and put the batch numbers here if I can still find them and if they fit. But autocorrect primer, a YouTuber, had the unfortunate misfortune of destroying his Trypticon's hip when he took her out of the box. But there is a fix. There's a lot of fixes for the hips. The problem with the hips is almost the same problem that the Titan Arc has, where the ratchets are too tight. This is because there's a spring in here that's a little too strong. So there are two ways to fix this. One way, I'm not going to show it on screen, I'm just showing the hips for video. One way is to take the spring and snip it smaller. The other way, which is the way that I did it, I took some pliers and on both sides of the springs, I kept the spring tense, squished for a day, and then I put them back in. I haven't had any issues with the hips and the ratchets ever since. The problem with cutting the spring, if you cut the spring too short, you can't uncut it, so you're screwed. So I would recommend doing it the way I did, with compressing the spring for at least a day or for a while. If you want, like leave it for a week. But compress the spring, that's the option I recommend. As I mentioned in my previous video, Fortress Maximus, that guy over there giving me the thumbs up because he's an Autobot. I like Autobots too. Fortress Maximus, he had lights and sounds just like Metroplex. In the 80s, this bad boy, she would walk. But I guess that was a little too complicated for 2015. So they took out the electronics and they decided to add a dumb feature. I think it's dumb. The cereal box art is cool, but the feature is dumb. She can eat Titan Masters. So you just open her mouth up, say ah, like clown in Spawn. Ah! And as you can see, there's a you can look down their throat and see that there's a little chamber down there. So you take these poor guys. Oh, take them out. Nah. Then you chuck them in. I'm sorry. I've seen too many TikTok videos where people are feeding their snakes. There you go. Just chuck them in. Oh, Metal Hawk and Clouder. But I'm rare. I'm from a series that no one's seen before. Sorry, bud. In you go. So, the lore of Titan's Return, even though they didn't show up in the Machinima cartoon, when Trypticon eats Titan Masters, she gains their powers. If you want to call her he. But she's a she to me. So she gains powers, and I guess now she can travel through to time. And what does my Cronus do? Shrink? I don't know. But that's the dumb feature. Excuse the wobbliness. I'm Cloverfielding here. So in order to retrieve your consumed Titan Masters, just where full tilt is, just bring the ramp up, the whole thing, and then pull it out. And there you go. She also does have, I'm going to use my favorite. I love Vector Prime. It's so cool. Comes with Metal Hawk. It's a blue. It has to do with time. Coolness. So she also has a Titan Master function back here. There is a Titan Master port, as you can see. So you transform. And there you got Titan Master. So if I tried it the other way, where the little tab is here, it'd get blocked. So I guess it's like that. That's cool. That little triangle indicates that the snub on top goes there. So you just go head on. Just plug this in. And that pops up the head cannon. A lot of people complain that this door won't shut. I'm gonna shut it here. And even with full tilt sticking out, it stays up. And the hip ratchets are strong enough that if you want her to talk to all creatures, big and small, she can have a little conversation with Skullgrin here. The weight of massive talent has jarred the door open a little, so I guess depending on the angle, the door is not as strong as it wants to be. And finally, the Japanese came out with this weird mode. According to the TF Wiki, it's called Monster Mode, but it's supposed to be like some kind of Trypticon monster. This showed up in the Transformers Legends comic books that came with the toys. I think this is a transformation. I moved the legs to the back because the back was too heavy. I was using these to support the back, but I figured let me move the legs to the center mass. And this is supposed to be eyes. This is mouth. And I guess just like Trypticon, a nose gun. There you can see, gobble gobble. It's kind of dumb, but creative. I'll never use it.
Please consider engaging with this video, aka like, comment, subscribe. Thank you.
Here we have Trypticon in ship mode. I'm impressed that it can fly. Like I held it from the bottom, and I was able to make it fly. I got these little guys on it, so they'll probably fall off if I pick it up. Even though there are some pegs on the on the platform. I have this Prime Master pegged in, and this suit of armor pegged in too. But Shock, Soundwave, and Beachcomber are just standing there. The dino head on the back is exposed, so that kind of sucks. I love the little wings. This is a big spaceship, but it has these little wings that fold out. And I love the ramps. If I had like Decepticon flyers, they could take off. The dino legs do tab in to the body, which is great, as you can see. There's a tab on the back of the heels, and it tabs into the body, so it sticks together well. It holds nice and tight. There is a wannabe cockpit. It's the front part of Trypticon opens up. It opens up for the dino mode, the monster mode, but it also opens up to become a cockpit. You can slide the Lux class figure in there. Full tilt is really secure at all times on Trypticon. Let me move this cannon. This part opens up, and then he shoots out. So full tilt, aka the purple Batmobile, purple tumbler. Very tight. The ramp is here for fun, for funsies. And cars roll right off it. In city mode, you can attach other Titan Returns guys to these tabs. The Toy Hack stickers label this like as port number 1, and the other one as port number 2. You got these 2 towers, thanks also to Toy Hacks. I painted these blue with my Gundam marker so that they look like windows in a city. Is this toy fun? Yep. I love Trypticon. She was my first mass collected Titan. Even though not my favorite, the $69.99 price at Burlington, that price that they had her for, it was awesome. So many good times were had hunting at Burlington, finding Trypticons. Currently, she's not cheap, and buying her blind means that you have to deal with the secret of the hips and with the floppy door in the front. So you're gonna have to deal with that. Every time someone says, "Hey, I got a Trypticon," I'm like, check the hips. I will put up, if I can, I'll put up the batch numbers again. These are the numbers that are printed onto the box, in the back of the box for Trypticon. I would recommend, even if you got a batch number that's supposed to be good, do the hip thing. Again, I recommend not cutting the springs, but using pliers to keep the springs compressed. Because if you cut the springs too short, you can't uncut them. So use the pliers. If push comes to shove, then do the snipping of the springs. Like Fort Max, unless you can get Trypticon for less than $200. Retail for her, I believe, was $159, just like Fort Max. But if you can get her for less than 200, more than 200, I would not recommend. But less than 200, unless you really, really want to own Trypticon, then I guess pay what you think is comfortable. You know, what you can pay without going, "Oh, my wallet." Anyway, I'm Aries 83. This has been a review of Trypticon. And, well, bye. Follow me on the web at twitter.com. I'm Aries083. At Instagram.com. I'm Aries083. At Facebook.com.
My personal profile is john.classified.5. My page is aries0083.fans. And finally, at my blog on Blogger, aries083-figure-blog.